Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm your girl, Molinda Jae, and I am here to talk about these roller coasters that are malfunctioning within days apart. Of course, what I do here, I talk about trending topics, shows that we love, the breaking news, the trending topics, and turn them into powerful lessons that we can all learn from. I also give little snippets about my log journey, which I gotta do another video about that. An updated video about that, but I keep it plain and simple as much as possible on this channel, but also be informative at the same time. But yeah, let's go ahead and discuss these two roller coasters malfunctioning within days apart of each other. The first one, if you all have not seen this already, blasting all over social media, we have the Fury 325 roller coaster at the Carowinds, North Carolina amusement park. And then we also have the other roller coaster that is a that's called the Fireball, and that is coming out of the Forest County Festival in Wisconsin. With these two type of roller coasters is dealing with a safety precaution at its finest. It's very alarming. Okay. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So what I've learned so far about the Carowinds roller coaster, aka the Fury 325 roller coaster, is that this incident happened on the 30th of June. Well, it's been reported, to say the least, on the 30th of June. And this is in regards to a crack forming on one of the support pillars on the roller coaster while it's in motion. Okay. A lot of scenarios could have happened in that particular circumstance, but luckily it did not. All right. So since the roller coaster has been reported, it has been shut down and is still under investigation since then. And it's almost approaching a week since that incident happened. It is considered one of the most popular rides at that theme park, and it was spotted by a park visitor by Jeremy Wagner. Of course, it shows the riders going over the fractured pillar at that time, and then you see the breaking of the seam of between the beam, the pillar, and of course the actual ride where the folks were squirming from. Okay, this is known as one of the fastest rides in the world, and it's made by a Swiss company, which the Swiss company is working in collaboration with the theme park to, go through with the investigation best way sees fit. And of course, the incident was reported to the fire department, and it took nearly an hour to get to that location just to see the damages and stuff like that. Okay. After the post of the video went public, other park visitors from other park visitors that visit the park before that happened had released their photos and videos of that same ride, seeing this. You're basically seeing the sequence of events happening before it actually broke. Okay. So that I found that alarming as well, and that can help within the investigation of the ride as well. All right. So some takeaways to about this particular ride is that it was added in 2015. So this ride is basically still in its infancy stage. It is 8 years old, basically, all in a nutshell. The height of the ride is 325 feet, which that is in part of why it's named like that. And it goes as fast as 95 miles an hour. That's like hitting the highway type of deal if you don't get caught. All right. All right. Also, the ride does get licensed and inspected on a yearly basis by the North Carolina Department of Labor. And they also do this prior to opening the park, as well as inspecting the other rides and attractions as well. My question is, to this degree, is okay, this is done on a yearly basis, and then they inspect the rides before the park opens. I would like to know how efficient the inspection is. Do y'all go around the rides and look around to make sure there's any cracks or seams, or do y'all go a little bit further in depth into inspecting the ride, such as, you know, having the ride run? Because, you know, they used to do that. I don't know if they still do that. They let the rides run when nobody's in it to make sure everything's running properly. And then of course, since that ride has a mean height to that mother trucker, okay, I would like to know, do y'all do like soil tests to make sure the soil and the foundation of the ride is not being affected, or why the crack is happening? Also, could there be some possible corrosion? Do y'all do corrosion tests based on how the ride is made? Does it because it's 8 years old and it's cracking like that, and it haven't even reached a 10-year span yet. So that's alarming, to say the least. I would love to be the fly on the wall on how y'all gonna repair that thing, because that crack is pretty huge. All right, to say the least. And then you got to look at the temperature of the heat. This is considered one of the hottest summers to put on record far as heat wave wise. So there's been a lot of heat advisory warnings ever since the start of the summer. And then of course you got to put the weather into play on that flows into that corrosion testing as well. So you know me, I like to be on the fly on the wall when y'all inspecting these rides and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm big on safety. All right. And when it comes to my life being on the line, because I'm trying to, I would like to enjoy myself on the rides. Hello. Okay. Plus, you know, I've went through a couple experiences on being stuck on, well, I wouldn't say being stuck on rides, but just the rides will stop because of a malfunction. It literally happened while we was on the Disney trip last month. One was on the kiddie ride and one was on another ride, one of the dinosaur rides. So on the kiddie ride, we were just, you know, stuck in we were just stuck like this for the most part, and we was trying to figure out what was going on. And then of course it went through just fine, but we just find it very interesting that out of all the times that the ride had been going while we were standing in line, of course it would stop when we get on the ride. So we was like, okay, come on now, what's going on? Then on the flip side, with the dinosaur ride at Disney World as well, it was a technical malfunction. So luckily the ride stopped before it actually got into the roller coaster portion, and we were able to, you know, talk amongst each other. But low key, you know, it puts a little fear in you when a roller coaster malfunction to that capacity, especially when you are mid-air, like I'm about to roll into discussing with the next roller coaster. So the next roller coaster malfunction happened in Wisconsin. This happened on Sunday, this past Sunday, days apart from when the other roller coaster had malfunctioned. Okay, so what happened with this roller coaster is that it malfunctioned mid-air, trapping the 8 passengers that was on the ride at the time upside down. So these passengers was upside down compared to the other riders. They were able to go Luckily, with the speed that they was going, it helped them to stay on the rail and not veer outside the rail, and the catastrophe will happen. Compared to this particular ride that happened in Wisconsin, it is a circular, is a oscillating circular ride. So you're either going forwards or backwards on this ride, and it's called the Fireball. But to say the least, while this particular roller coaster will happen, it had mechanical malfunctions. See, with the other one, it had structural malfunction, structural damage. Compared to this one, it had a mechanical malfunction. So that's either between the ride itself or the mechanics that is going on as the person at the booth is basically operating the ride. So it could be either or it could be both, or one or the other, to say the least. But there were at least about 5 children, from what a witness was explaining to the press about, that was on this particular ride. And some key takeaways from this particular incident was, one, as the emergency personnel was tending to the passengers on the ride to make, to calm them down and give them the reassurance that everything was going to be all right. Of course, the first ones to come into contact and to rescue are the children. However, one of the children's was one of the girls, and she asked for the emergency crew to tend to the older gentleman first, because he was showing signs that he was about to pass out. All I can say about that is shouts out to that little girl for her good Samaritan merit on that, because again, we're living in a time where people don't, it's like every man for themselves type of deal. All right. And then also another key takeaway from this particular incident as well is, even though the emergency personnel were dispatched and they came to the scene approximately 15 minutes or within 15 minutes, they still had to get special equipment from nearby towns, like 3 ladder trucks to complete the rescue. They had 1 truck with the capability of rising over 100 feet that took approximately 45 minutes to arrive on the scene as well. Then they had an off-duty firefighter that specialized in rope rescue training that happened to be at the festival at the time. And then, of course, something else that happened as well. Oh, with the complexity of the operation, as stated within the article coming from NPRG, was that the first passengers was not safely back on solid ground until 3:20 p.m. That time. So that's roughly 2 hours after the ride had first gotten stuck. And then, of course, it took an hour and 45 minutes and added hour and 40 minutes for the remaining passengers to be rescued as well. So also as well, within one of the videos that was posted on social media, you could see the carnival workers grinding on metal to unstick the coaster, as the firemen were tending to the the passengers at the time. So, to say the least, that is what's happened so far with that particular situation with the Fireball roller coaster experiencing some mechanical failures. It's still unclear, so I'm pretty sure it's probably closed as well and under investigation to make sure that is put up to standard as well to go in operation, because that was being inspected by the state as well. So that's a lot to unpack with these particular rides. The key takeaway from this, as stated before, this particular incident unfolded just days before after the Fury 325 roller coaster in North Carolina was closed due to the structural damage that happened. And now this one with the mechanical issue happened days ahead. It's very alarming on the safety precaution and how effective does these inspections go by. As stated before, I want to know, do they just look at the roller coaster, or do they actually inspect the roller coaster, like the support beams, the structure of the ride? Do you check the mechanics, make sure they're running properly? Do they still run the ride as if people are on it to make sure it's running effectively? And the list goes forward. Have they taken the weather into account on the issue of their rides going into malfunction? How old is the ride? That can play a factor into that as well. How often do they experience some repairs on the ride? That plays a factor into that as well. Since that Fury 325 ride, again, do y'all do soil tests to make sure even though the pillars are solid to its capacity, you also got to check the foundational standpoint and make sure the soil and whatever materials that was used to create the foundation of the ride, is that still able to withstand another 10 years? Because again, that ride that's in Charlotte, North Carolina, that's a baby ride. That ride is in its infancy stage. So I like to know more information about that. But what are your thoughts, folks, about the situations unfolding with these two roller coasters? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Yes, I can veer off into the engineering concept, the STEM aspect and the structural purposes of rides, because again, I'm big on safety. Okay, I am real big on safety, especially when people's lives are in your hands. All right, and you want to make sure everything is going smoothly, just to keep the peace of it all. But other than that, feel free to chime down in the comment section and leave your thoughts. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.